In the late 1980s and early 1990s, there was a phrase that was used in the news a lot, the gang and drug problem. And we really didn't know what the gang and drug problem was. And Gang Leader for a Day is a book about my time trying to get inside the world of gangs, inside the world of drug dealing, inside the world of a poor community to help people understand what life was like from the inside. The project started in a way that I could never have predicted and probably would never want to have happen again. I was asking a bunch of street gang members some questions in a poor community, trying to be a good sociologist. They didn't believe that I was a sociologist. They thought I was a rival Mexican street gang member, and they held me hostage in the stairwell for 24 hours. And when they felt it was safe to let me go, they told me, you know what, you really need to live with people. You can't ask them silly questions and hope you're going to get the real answers to life around here. I took that as an invitation, and I came back. I met the street gang leader, JT, and the book is really the chronicle of the journey between me and JT for the better part of 7 or 8 years. JT was kind of an anomaly. He had a college degree, he worked in a corporation, and he decided to come back to his neighborhood to run the street gang. And when I heard that part about his background, I wanted to know more. And we basically hung out with each other. And I think a lot of the ways in which I was able to gain trust and access was because of his own background as somebody who had a college degree, who had worked in mainstream America. And he looked at me as someone who might be able to tell his story to the rest of the world. It's not surprising when you think about the Robert Taylor homes why a big crack dealing gang would end up there. 40,000 people. It's a community that's very, very poor and desperate. They can't rely on the government. They can't rely on foundations. They don't have services. Politicians aren't listening to them. So sometimes they turn to the gang for help. So the very same gang that's dealing crack, that's really, really violent, also has money. And they turn it back to the residents by giving them small, bits of cash here and there to win their favor, basically. And so the book is really about that difficult place that people are in when they have to turn to a gang in order to survive. One day I approached the street gang leader, JT, and I said, listen, I don't see what's so difficult about your job. You basically stand around and give people orders all day. And he said, okay, well, why don't you try it? And so for one day, I became a kind of gang leader for a day. And I didn't shoot any guns or I didn't do anything illegal, but I had a chance to walk with him and see the kinds of difficult things that he had to do. Even little things like trying to find a place for 250 guys to meet, which is not so easy when you're doing illegal things. So it gave me a real inside look at some of the decisions that go into leading a 250-person crack dealing street gang. I felt really blessed throughout my work because people really trusted me. They gave me a lot of access. They let me stay in their homes. They watched over me if there was periods of violence. This is a community that when you look at them on TV, it may seem like another world, like people that are really different than you and me. But I think what I learned is that we have a lot more in common than we think. And those commonalities really go across race divides, ethnic divides, and even social class. I never thought that I'd be learning as much from poor people in the US that I did, but at that stage in my life, that's really who helped me become a better person. The book is really about a community where people have to actually rely on a street gang to survive day to day. Imagine what that's like when the street gang becomes the person or the group that you go to get money, to get services, to get help. That's an awful way to live. And that's the way that a lot of Americans had to live, and some Americans still live.